Hi, I'm Sami, and this is the Career Kickstart Show. I am super excited to have Maria Kathlyn Tan on the show. She is also known as Miracle Maria, and she is the transformation empowerment specialist for millennials, money mavericks, and multi-passionate people. Now, I'm excited to have her on because her career story is truly unique, and she's going to give us some more advice on how you can harness your own, the messy, fun, wacky world of being a millennial, and how we can just harness that to empower ourselves. So, Maria, I know that there's so much about you. How about you give us an elevator pitch and let us know more about you?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm originally from the Philippines and I'm based in Taipei for the last 13 years. So I started really by being who I am. From a very young age, I'm very lucky to have parents who are not a helicopter parents, who are very much like, I gave birth to you and I gave you the tools, so you better figure out what you want. But I started with selling from a very young age, but I saw it not as selling, as sales, but I saw it mostly as a transfer of product from one to another. So at the age of like 5 or 6, I'd sell, gifts. As children, like now people don't give that much gifts, right? But I'm sure, like Sami, for us, when we were little, like we would get so many gifts, and some of the gifts we don't really want. So I would sell them off to everybody. I'll just sell them to other people, to some. We had helpers growing up, so I'd sell them to our helpers. I'd sell them I didn't even know how much they were. I just knew what I wanted for them, right? I'd sell them off, and that's how I started. I'm very good at knowing which product to sell to someone, or knowing who to connect to who. So I started from there and then just evolved from there later on.
So you're just a natural born hustler from the age of 5. For the listeners at home, I'm going to start us off on the beginning of the Miracle Maria story, because you now, and before you started with the success coaching, consulting with companies, you started on you're working with the Manila Economic Cultural Office. So, like, could you take us through, because you've done a lot of different things from writing, teaching. Could you just give us a little bit of a journey through how you kind of embraced your multi-passionate maverickness and created this like very diverse career path?
So I would say it started even way before the Manila Economic Cultural Office stint that I did. It's from, like I said, from 6 I was selling, right? So at school I was Maria went to town. I'd literally bring stationery supply, everything. Like I'd sell confectionery items, food items to school to sell. Then I was tutoring as well, because I was very good in academics. So my classmates would ask me to teach them, and they'd pay me for math, by physics, chemistry. I charged by the subject before, so it was more of that. So what really like I said, how I was able to embrace all of me is really understanding that these are the things that I want to offer, and I say yes when the opportunity is there. I think a lot of times people, my experience and what I've seen with people is sometimes we've just been so wired into thinking you need to have A, B, C, D before you can do something. So let's say you need to have a graduate school, whatever certificate you need to be before you can even get paid. So this is not the way I was brought up. It was more of, this is the opportunity now. Someone is paying me to teach her math, for example. And for me, I just say yes. I'd say, okay, I'll teach you. And some of them I'll figure it out later on. But it's more of that understanding that we can really start today. We don't need to wait until we have a good website, we have a good CV. When the opportunity comes, it came for a reason. So it is up to us to level up a bit. When we say level up a bit, maybe do some research, right? Understand what the responsibility involves and say yes. So all these things that I've gotten, like working for, doing my internship at the trade department, writing, teaching, consulting, most of them just came to me. Of course, I'm not saying I'm not finding jobs, but it's mostly I come with an attitude of, okay, I'm ready for what you give me. Or I focus on, you know what, I really want to make money. That's it. I want to make, let's say, $5,000 this month. And I'm just open. And when it comes, I say yes. The problem with people, I think, is sometimes when the opportunity is there, we're just too surprised that, yeah, really, someone would offer me that money? Really? Like that kind of doubt in who we are. But for me, I believe, I know this is a cliche, and maybe it's me being a Catholic, but I always think when God gives you something, He will give you the tools to accommodate that. So it's really up to us to just up level a bit to accommodate for that gift or that opportunity.
I love that, because for me, like I've had regular jobs, don't get me wrong, but I've always had an entrepreneurial bent, because that's the thing. There's so much out there for opportunities, for networking, for whatever. But it feels like sometimes, like you said, people are shocked, but I also think people might be a little scared. And I know that motivational speaking is in your wheelhouse. What do you have to say to clients who might be scared when they get an opportunity like this, or any big opportunity?
So the one thing, I understand that not everybody has my candor. I won't even use the word courage. I'm just gutsy. But the one thing that I really suggest for people who feel scared when it's already here is this. Do your part and let the universe decide. What do I mean by this? Let's say you get an offer from someone, okay, and say, hey, Sami, I know that you're doing LinkedIn profile. Can you do one for me? Okay, so instead of saying just yes or no, I would say, how about I write you a proposal? Okay, so when you go back, you might even think, what if I cannot do this? What if I don't want? Why are they asking for so many proposals? Something like this, right? Just do the actual work necessary. Don't go over. So if they want a proposal, write a proposal to them. If they want a short like summary of what you're going to give them, just give them. You don't need to overgive. You don't need to overpitch, because they already came to you. The opportunity is here, right? Now, quote your price, the price that you feel comfortable with. Let them decide if it's for you or not. Let the universe decide to help you make that decision, because you're already scared. But if you don't make that offer, well, you never get the chance, right? But if you want to know, is this really for me? Let the universe decide by you giving your proposal. And if it's a yes, then it's a yes. But do the necessary steps. Do the follow-up. Do the actual proposal. At least a one-page one. Okay, don't give like 100 pages. Just one page of what's you're offering, how much, right, and how you work, and let them decide. Because 99% they will come back with yes. Or if it's not a yes, they will say, how about we start with this, and I pay first with that. If they cannot match the whole price, then oh, this is really for me.
I like that, especially because you're basically saying don't say no to yourself before you give someone else the opportunity to, because that's what a lot of people do. They say no, even if it's subconsciously, so they don't get hurt. Which yes. I feel like, and you're you have the expertise on millennials. Do you think that this willingness to kind of be a bit of a misfit, kind of be a bit of a maverick, create your own position, do you feel like this is a millennial trait? How about you talk to us a little bit about millennials and just the generational differences that you're seeing now as an entrepreneur and as a consultant?
I think millennials in general, right, as a whole, we are very much, we don't fit in one category, because these categories are defined by the generation before us, right? Yet, our parents have provided us with the tools to be everything. So from a young age, we're encouraged to pursue our hobbies and the life skills. The things that make us rich, but also the things that make us special, like art or music or literature. every other thing. So going to society, sometimes we get this confusion of, you just taught me to be multi-passionate. And we grew up being multi-passionate and multi-talented. And now you're telling me that I cannot be all of me in this position. I think that's the biggest disconnect or gap that everybody is having with millennials, because we were trained to be all of us, but society somehow still wants us to fit in the category that our parents' generation defined for their generation. So as a millennial and the millennial generation, our category is only simply being ourselves and how we can utilize all that well. So regardless of how dominant those traits are, it's there. Because you see, everything, it still depends on the culture you're in the country you're in. Because either, let's say, more Western culture, they're more vocal about their differences, right? About their desires. But let's say conservative cultures, like Chinese cultures, the East Asian culture, the culture does not really give them the platform to speak up that much, or they're not used to speaking up. So they just stay silent. But it does not mean that they don't share these traits that you and I share, Sami. We are different. That's why these people either go job hopping, because they cannot be satisfied with what the job is giving them. So as a whole, I see that. So the question now becomes, how can you be all of you, right? And how can you flourish in that? I would say it's really slowly. Like, the more that you accept, I have a doctorate in, let's say, in biology, microbiology, but I also like music. I think it's okay. I don't need to make money from music now, but it's okay to have it as a hobby. And I shouldn't be ashamed of it, because, some microbiologists also like rap, that kind of conversation, because we can actually see more similarities when we accept ourselves than differences. Normally, when we feel ashamed of some parts, like especially in the professional world, right? We want to keep that persona of, okay, I'm professional, I'm academic, this is the thing, I don't have any fun side of me, that's actually when we feel really left out and isolated. So I think as a whole, right, my candor, it's not because of the generation or because of the generation that I'm in, but rather I'm lucky enough that I was born with parents that encourage thinking independently and being responsible for it. Because my parents are very much, if you want A, okay, that's fine. Like, I literally, how parents would give curfews? My parents did not give me curfew. It's just, okay, if you want to go out and your grades suffer, it's your problem. It's not our problem. If you want cell phone, you want a new cell phone? Sure. But I want a cell phone too. So if you want a new cell phone, buy it yourself. That kind of they wouldn't stop me from pursuing my desires. They'd encourage me, but they wouldn't also, how do you call it? They wouldn't also abuse, give me the thing that I want. It's more of me working for it. So I think because of that encouragement and that freedom, it allowed me to pursue or to say yes when opportunity is there. Because if I don't say yes now, I won't get my cell phone, anytime, right?
Yeah, no, and what I like about this is that it's not just about that self-sufficiency. It's also the fact that you're given the room to make mistakes.
Yes.
Which, I feel like for a lot of folks who, you talked about earlier about the helicopter parent. I didn't have one of those because I have like 5 other brothers and sisters. So there's no time for my parents to be a helicopter parent. There's just too many of us. But I do have classmates who have had that. So how do you work with, like, I guess, millennials who are like trying to recover from the helicopter parent days and really step into their own multi-passionate being?
So that's a very good question. And I actually have a client from that, that helicopter mom thing. So, most of the millennials that come from helicopter parenting would speak this language. I really want to take X class, but I'm afraid what my mom would say. Even as an adult, like 29, 30, they have that program,
Yeah.
right? Or remember, like our parents, they don't think paying for fitness classes is necessary. For them, if you want fitness, just walk. Right? We come from a different generation. For us, if we want fitness, we go to a class. For them, they want fitness, do chores or go hiking.
My mom would just tell me to clean her house.
Yes, exactly.
Some windows.
Yeah. But for us, it's different, right? Because for us, we pay for it. So I always just give this advice. To be honest, our parents just want the best for us. So we need to speak their language in talking to them. Like my mom, to be honest, my mother doesn't understand all these computer stuff, really. Like I've explained to her many times about what I do. And remember, I've been working since a young age, right? I've been making money. So for her concern is, are you maximizing your potential in making money, right? Why don't you open a store? That's because for them, their generation is you make money, you open a store. There is no make money from the internet. It's like, huh? It's like a question mark. Or you make money from buying real estate and renting it out. That's how they think making money is. So you have to talk in their language. Because at the end of the day, parents just want to know that my child is okay. So in that example, my client, I just say, okay, you know what? First of all, you just tell your mom, I need focus. And exercise helps me focus. I don't want to go out and hike because I cannot focus. So do you want me to be focused or not? That's it. Because with my mom, I sat her down. I talk her language, which is numbers. So I said, okay, mom, let me tell you, if I open a company today, if I open a store, any kind of store, it doesn't matter what, I need at least 30,000 US dollars, maybe, as a capital for my supply, for my stocks, for my rent, for my renovation, for my people, right? The workforce. That's minimum, because that 30,000 gives me the breath for 1 year. Because maybe I will not make money in 1 year, right? So imagine 30,000 immediately as an upfront capital on something that I cannot open if there's a typhoon, that is highly regulated, and all the things like wiring and so on I need to take care of, that there's a chance to have a fire emergency, whatever emergency, all these things. But if I go online and I do coaching or whatever business I have online, my maximum investment in the beginning stages will just be $5,000 for maybe even a year. I can do other things by myself because I don't need to pay extra rent, right? Then I don't need extra deposit because the rent, if you have an office space, there's deposit. Third, don't need to pay electricity and all these utilities. Fourth, I can work 24 hours. There is no liability. The liability is very, very little. Fifth, when I work online, okay, I just need to take care of myself. I don't need to hire people in the beginning. But in a store, there is no way. Because if I have 100 customers at one time, I cannot serve them. I need someone with me. When I explained that to her, she just said, yeah, good idea.
Okay, see, what I find very fascinating about your skill set is that a lot of what you do is translate. And I think that is something that for a lot of my listeners, what they probably got out of this is just like, oh, make sure you build a really rational adult argument before your parents start cranking on you about what you're doing.
I would say no. I would say whoever you talk to, you need to adjust a little bit. Let me quote Nelson Mandela here. I love this quote from him. He said, when you talk to a person and you talk to a language he understands, it goes to his head. But if you talk to a person and you talk in his language, it gets to her heart, right? And that's it. And our parents' generation, the only language they understand is money. And it's not a criticism, it's reality. Because that's how they were built. That's how their desires work. It's not about happy. There is no happiness for them. Their happiness is money.
Yeah,
They're happy when they had the house, they can provide education for their kids. But as millennials, our generation, no. For us, happiness is not money. Happiness is doing what I want, having the freedom to be who I am. That's our happiness. So for me, talk in the language that whoever you're talking to can understand, because that's the only way they can get to you.
Mm-hmm. Amen, sister. Now, Maria, you've been laying down so much good value for us. So, I want to make sure before we end the interview that if you have one action step that you can give our multi-passionate, misfit millennial women out there, what's one action step they can take to empower themselves more today?
Start by listing down everything that makes you unique. And you have to read that list every single day, because that list is like looking at the mirror. If you don't look at the mirror every day, you will forget what you look like. It's the same as that list. If you don't look at that list every single day, you will forget who you are. So write everything that makes you unique, from what's good, from what's bad, because all of that is who you are. And all of that will make you that success and that happiness and that money that you need.
Mm-hmm. There you go. List down the special sauce. I love it. Now, Maria, you're giving us like a real good closing bit of, wisdom. But for folks who want to find out more about you, where can they find you on the internet? What are you doing?
So I have a website that's going through a rebrand right now, but you can check it out. It's maria-miracles.com. Or you can just send me an email, the same, maria@miracles.com, for any questions, and I can redirect you to a free Facebook group that I hold called Misfits Making Miracles.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maria. You've been a fantastic guest today. I've loved having you on. And thank you all for listening. As always, I'm Sami Gardner, and this is the Career Kickstart Show. Bye.
Change your career, change your life at CareerKickstartAcademy.com.